I'm Mendes from King of the Ring UK. I've just obviously come to meet you today to ask about your story with knife crime. So if you can, just introduce yourself, please.
Neil, I've got several businesses and I've recently moved back from Portugal because I lost my son in December 2021, December the 8th, 2021. I didn't lose my son to knife crime, but he unfortunately was part of a whole host of how can I say, sort of altercations that could have ended up in a very different manner with knife crime, and I managed to sort a lot of things out for him during that period. That stopped to get to that point, which could have ended up with I ended up losing him anyway, you know, which is hard enough. But I managed to stop some knife crime and stop that happening.
Yeah. And how was it? How was, like, obviously losing your son and like knife crime, so to speak, affected you and your family?
Losing my son is the hardest thing I think any parent can go through. You know, losing a child is devastating. You know, nobody that hasn't experienced losing a child doesn't know what it feels like. And people try to sympathise and empathise with you, but they haven't got a clue what it feels like. You know, and it's horrific. You know, it was the worst day of my life by far. And I got the phone call to say that my son wasn't breathing, and that's how I found out. And paramedics worked on him for 45 minutes, but unfortunately they couldn't save him. He had passed away. It was an accidental overdose that I lost my son to. 2-3 weeks beforehand, when I was talking to Ellis, he had a rick with a lad. They were both going to stab each other. Okay. And that for me was frightening as a parent. I managed to speak to the lad's dad. I managed to say to him, look, you know, you've got to get control of your young'un. I'll get control of mine, because one of our sons is going to end up dead, another one's going to lose his life because he's going to end up in jail for the rest of his life. After a few phone calls back and forth, we managed to get the two of them separated, and the two of them still wanted to kill each other, but they managed to let it go. And that's would have been a very different outcome for both families. Yeah, and that was something that, you know, unfortunately I still lost my son a few weeks later, but it could have ended that night, that weekend, because the two of them were adamant that they were going to kill each other. And unfortunately I managed to stop that happening. But unfortunately I lost my son still, which is devastating. You know, it's not just my part, but his siblings as well, his stepmother, his mum, over the whole family. It's affected so many people, you know, and it's horrific. It's been horrific, it still is horrific, you know.
Could you tell me and the viewers how knife crimes affected your life?
I was just had a broken wedge osteotomy where they break your leg and straighten your leg, and I was in a wheelchair, and there was a lad there, and he started mouthing off, and I told him to fuck off, and he said, I'm going to come back and do you in. I says, I right on, mate, I've heard that before. He come back, there was 4 masked men came down with machetes to the football, and they came up the pitch, and I was in a wheelchair. I managed to get myself halfway in the changing rooms, and I hid in the fucking referee's room with my crutches up, like across to stop them chopping my head off. Thankfully they didn't get into the changing rooms, but they were coming to kill us. You know, that's fucking scary after a little, just a few words of football.
Literally a squabble.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to kids that are involved in the knife culture?
Yeah, to be honest, I think in this day and age, you know, years ago it was a fisticuffs. Everybody had a scrap. Yeah. You shook hands and that was it. 100%. Unfortunately, in this day and age, you know, the weapons are something that people use on a regular basis. You know, I remember even my son, you know, 2-3 years ago, him ringing us up and saying, Dad, I was going to have a straight out with this lad. It was 8 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday morning. He was going for a straight out with somebody, and he said, I've got a crowbar stuck in my head. And I was like, you've got a fucking what? Yeah. You've got a crowbar stuck in my head. I went to pick him up. He had a cream white tracksuit on, and it was covered in blood, and he had an actual crowbar stuck in the back of his head, and he was telling us to just take it out and we'll go and sort him out. Obviously, as a parent, seeing your son covered in blood, it was horrific. Yeah, him not giving a shit about that and wanting to go and get revenge straight away was panic. Yeah. Obviously, me as a parent, I wanted to find out who they were and I wanted to go and get them as well. Yeah. You know, but the most important thing was I wanted to get him to the hospital, and he was in the hospital and he was just wanting to get him out and get out there and go and get revenge for the 2 lads that had jumped him from behind. You know, and that's scary. You know, that could have very easily been a knife. It might not have been a knife, but it was still he had a crowbar stuck in his head.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Stuck in his head. It's a weapon.
Yeah.
It is. It's a weapon, and it's so easy for kids to use weapons. And the thing, you know, so a lot of people think it's big, hard, and clever for to carry weapons, and it's not. You know,
it's coward's way out.
It is 100% coward's way out. You know, and people can have ricks, people can have arguments, people can have fights. And unfortunately, in this day and age, it does end up a lot of the time where people resort to weapons, and it's horrific.
No.
You know, people can't just have a straightener and that's it done. You know, but again, that's the way modern societies went. What we can do is try to make awareness of what it happens, because again, like I say, one family ends up with a son or a daughter that's lost, and the other one goes to prison. You know, both families are devastated in two different ways. It's a loss on both ways. So two lives, one life's gone and the other life's gone because they're in jail for a long time. So there's no good outcome for either the person who's been affected by the knife crime or been stabbed, and there's the other person's lost their life because they end up in jail for 10, 20 years. You know, so both ways, there's no good outcome of it. It's horrific.
100% it is. It's a loss for everybody.
Yeah, it is.
I'll tell you a little bit about King of the Ring. We've made this to make people put down the knife and use the left and right, obviously in hopes to help reduce knife crime. Do you feel like King of the Ring would benefit people around the North East?
Listen, I think that's a fantastic idea, because, you know, people do have bother. You know, me personally, you know, the loss I've felt, I've wanted to do something where I've the anger and pain inside of me. I turned that round and I'd gone in the ring for the first time 6 weeks ago. The first time I've stepped in a ring and I sparred somebody and he boxed the lips off us because he's an experienced boxer, you know, and getting punched in the face. I wanted to feel that physical pain, you know, and that pushed us on to go on to fight 2 nights in a row in memory of my son. I wish I wasn't fighting in memory of my son, and I managed to raise a lot of money for awareness and for mental health, and for a team down in Manchester called Angels FC, which support men who've lost children. You've got to be a part of that team, you've got to have had a loss. And I got in the ring and I took my anger and frustration out in the ring, because I am angry and I am bitter that I've lost my son. You know, and for me to get in that ring and for have a scrap and to get punched in the face, it made us feel alive again. You know, and give us some focus and some purpose to get out of bed in the morning and train and work hard. And if people can do that, if they've got a feud with somebody and get in the ring, and afterwards the respect that was shown between me and the lad that I wanted to knock out at the beginning of the fight, at the end of the fight, we give each other a hug. You know, and the respect that you're shown, that it's just amazing. You know, what the feeling that you get, that 1 minute you want to knock his head off, and then when after the fight, win, lose or draw on both sides, fortunately I won both fights, but you know, even though I had got beat, I still would have had the same respect, and I still would have given the lad a hug, you know, and the respect there was mutual, you know, and they totally respected what I'd done. But for me to get my anger and frustration out that way, rather than do it out in the street and have road rage and go off it, because that's how I felt inside. I got the pain and the hurt inside. I've took it out in the ring, and it's helped me massively, like more than anybody could ever imagine how much it's helped me get that frustration out, that anger and bitterness out. You know, so what you guys are doing, I think, is amazing, especially up here in the North East. It would be fantastic to stretch up here as well. I imagine it's not easy when you're in them gangs to get out of there, you know, but you've got to make that first move of making that move to get out, because it's hard when you're in them circles to be the first person to walk out and say it's not clever. But the more people that stand up against knife crime, the more people that move away from that, you know, the less these gangs will recruit more people. You know, the bigger the awareness on knife crime, the bigger the awareness on putting down the knives and getting in the ring. You know, this could be something that turns into something massive, that people can get in the ring and actually sort things out like men, you know, and not like cowards, like what you said. Because cowards do carry knives, and it's amazing how many people do carry knives these days.